right, welcome back to the Library Podcast. What's the name of our podcast, Brendan?
I blame myself.
And I certainly do. This week is definitely sweeps week, so we're going big on the ratings. We brought in some special surprises, special guests, and really a whole lot of our own opinions on this movie that we watched. Late Night with the Devil.
Yeah.
Let's get into it.
So we are back after last week's episode. A couple weeks ago, we picked a Kanopy movie to watch. Kanopy being the streaming service for the library.
Mm-hmm.
We picked Late Night with the Devil. Jen's just looking over her shoulder.
I'm hypervigilant. Okay, don't mind me.
And as Rob kind of alluded to, this movie is about a late night talk show trying to boost their ratings after a long slump. And have a special Halloween night show that, things go down. I don't know how better to put that without spoiling what we're going to get into. So you mentioned in the last episode that this was kind of had some Australian connections. There's a pair of brothers who directed the movie, Colin and Cameron Carnes, who are Australian horror movie directors, I guess. They have a couple other ones, but this is their big one. The other big fact is that this movie, in one of its opening domestic weekends, in one single day, it earned $666,666.
Oh, no.
What?
No, please
At
don't
least according to ChatGPT.
No.
I don't know. We'll look into the veracity of that claim, but
that's terrifying.
Good to see true.
Good to see that AI has a dark sense of humor.
I mean,
wow.
it could be an AI hallucination or them pulling a prank on me, but I thought that's true.
I'm going to look that up after because I have to know.
But yeah, we can just, we were just saying that Jen did not bring up a bunch of 1977 trivia since it wasn't made in 1977.
It wasn't, yeah.
It was a movie from a couple years ago and it's set in 1977. So
I was not alive, so my memory of that time is very spotty.
I think we were probably born a handful of years later. Jen, you were alive and kicking it.
I was 5. I'm sure it was something, the Eagles, Fleetwood Mac, something.
This was also, since it was Australian directors, I assume maybe writers as well. I found the basis for it was the Don Lane Show, which was an Australian talk show. He had on a skeptic similar to the Carmichael in the movie named James Randi, who is a very, very famous skeptic, was on Johnny Carson a lot, and was on this Australian talk show as well. And he was featured in a 2014 documentary called An Honest Liar. So if you want to check out more about James Randi and his skepticism, but it turns out both he and Johnny Carson were originally stage magicians before both of them were skeptics later on. When Johnny Carson had his TV show, he was well known for being skeptical of the people who came on to do tricks. So
I've carried this check now for going on 17 years, Bob. There it is, a check for $10,000 awardable to the gentleman should he be able to successfully perform the demonstration. Since my theory, as yet unproven, of course, is that it's accomplished simply by blowing.
I thought it was a little interesting bit of trivia. What do you got, Jen?
Well, for 1977's Billboard year-end charts, biggest song was Rod Stewart's Tonight's the Night.
Here we go.
They definitely should have built some of the era music. I do feel like that was a piece that was missing to really put the scene in there, just to get some of the music at the time put in.
Yeah, I liked the house band type talk show music, and especially because they had did some spooky themes. But you're right, they could. Well, because it was found footage, maybe it wouldn't quite fit to have
Fair enough. That's a good call. I mean, you do have the news clips in the beginning, and I think there's a little bit of a song or two mixed in there. But you're right. Just with the found footage, it wouldn't fit.
Yeah, and I also noticed the biggest kind of red herring of the whole movie was they said that Cleo James, I think was the singer, would perform at the end of the show, and I was just waiting the whole movie to hear Cleo James perform her jazzy music that he promised, but it never happened. Spoiler.
Before we get into the movie, I do want to give an update from last time. I remember how we had talked about other different movies that we've watched recently, and I have been watching a lot of horror movies since we last met. I watched Invasion of the Body Snatchers, The Thing, which are great, and we watch those kind of consistently. But I did say that I had never watched The Substance because my daughter said, no, you would not be able to handle it. Well, a year later, and she says, yes, I think you could watch that movie and I think you would like it. I think she forgot maybe how horrible it was. Very, very disgusting. Like, I don't think I have ever in my life gotten nauseous while watching a movie. This is like the first time I literally got sick while watching it. I think it was very well made, very well acted. But oh my gosh, it was, if you don't like medical procedures, if you can't handle watching that type of thing, then do not watch it, because I barely made it through. I had to close my eyes a lot.
Best movie ever. You heard it here first. Talk to Jen about The Substance. She wants to relive
Come find her
all
in the
of it.
library.
The thing is, it had such great commentary on like women aging.
Yeah.
I just thought it was fabulously done, and I was kept thinking about it, unfortunately, for like 2 days after I watched it. But I don't think I'll ever watch it again. But it was just funny because like a couple of days before we watched it, I had told you I wasn't going to watch it because she had said, and then partway through it, she said, I think I forgot like 30% of this movie, and she didn't remember quite how brutal it was. So.
Well, at least you probably shouldn't have watched it.
I probably shouldn't have watched it.
It's nice to have seen. I think Demi Moore's performance was insanely good. Like, in the amount she had to do in that movie.
Did you watch it, Brendan?
I forgot. You
I have
haven't
not
seen it.
seen
Okay.
You have seen it?
I've seen it, yeah.
She was very brave in that movie. I thought she was so brave to do that movie.
She took it was well done. Yeah, I'm surprised she didn't win more accolades for that, because she was pretty good. All right, well, now that we're all horror movied out, it's time to talk about Late Night with the Devil.
Let's get into it. Yeah.
Let's go. I didn't know if any of you tracked this, but the intro, those titles that come up with like production companies, there was like at least like 9 or 10 of them.
Shudder was one of them, right?
I was wondering if it was a joke at first,
right?
But just the sheer amount of them, they do the little kind of like different production studios, and no, I think it's just nowadays movies are made by.
I've noticed that more and more, especially indie films. They've got a lot of different people behind the scenes.
Yeah, and I think it's just getting sources of funding and getting enough money and stuff. Which oddly, another little tidbit I had: this movie was filmed over 20 days in pretty much essentially one studio room.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
I thought it was
impressive.
interesting they had that many collaborators and like just such a small cast, essentially like 1 or 2 rooms.
Yeah, so hopefully I cut down on the budget, but yeah, it made a ton of money too.
And didn't it premiere at South by Southwest?
I didn't find that one, but yeah, you definitely could be right.
And I saw that Stephen King saw it at South by Southwest and said it was absolutely brilliant, and he couldn't take his eyes off of it. So, I mean, got a ringing endorsement from Stephen King there.
Yeah, we'll see if we feel the same at the end, but no, don't.
Okay, we won't get there.
And it kind of begins with a montage of the 1970s in the U.S., kind of the chaos going on in politics and in world news and that kind of stuff.
Lit up the sky.
America, the 1970s.
The energy crisis is real.
A time of unrest and mistrust.
I have never been a quitter.
Made me feel a little better about what's going on in the world today. Like, hey, there was another period in time
Right?
where things were crazy
And
too.
a time of war and political upheaval and cultural change.
Yeah.
And then you see footage
A lot of cult leaders, though, and serial killers were shown in that montage.
Yeah, so it may have been exaggerated a little bit, but yeah, this was like early 1970s. They kind of show what's going on, and then it jumps right into the kind of a montage story of Jack Delroy, who will be our co-host of the show. It starts in 1971. He's a popular Chicago radio announcer, and he starts starring in a talk show called Night Owls. The main crux of it is that he's always competitive with the other big talk show at the time, Johnny Carson, which a lot of people are familiar with. This is Night Owls was not a real show. This is not a real movie, even though they kind of like frame it as like found footage. This is like all the clips that were from like the show that night. This is not a real
In general,
TV show
do you
or
guys
event.
like found footage, or are you guys fans of it?
I think you got to use it right. Like, there's definitely, have I seen this before? It can be overdone. But there's some like really good ones that I think do a great job. This one, for example, is that it's not just found footage. It's like it sets an era. It sets the TV up really well. There's like a found footage superhero one, Chronicle, that I thought was done pretty well. There's endless zombie ones. Some are good, some are not. You can get kind of tired of that thing. This one, I think they picked the right tool for the job.
Yeah, I liked how it worked because like anytime they were actually shooting for the show around breaks, like it was all just from the cameras on the stage that would have been filming, the talk show. And then I just kind of liked how it like went to like black and white or something, and like you have like people with like kind of shakier cams following people around as they talked. It kind of ratcheted up
Like
the tension off stage, and then you get to the stage, and then you kind of like you know all the stuff that's
I like
simmering
that too.
underneath. I thought it worked really well, but I didn't believe it was real.
Yeah, for me, usually when I see a film that is found footage, it makes it less scary for me because I feel like I'm watching something that already happened. I'm not immersed in it as much as I would be, say, if I watch like The Conjuring or The Exorcist, where I feel like I'm kind of part of the movie.
Right.
I feel a little bit distanced from it. So it might be a good thing in a way because it makes it a more fun experience because I'm not quite as scared.
Yeah.
That might just be a me thing, though.
I don't know. For me, it kind of pushes the other direction.
Does
I
it
feel
really?
like almost more involved, almost like, you know, things, the way things move and the way things like look on camera, they don't have that sort of like fake major movie theater look. And I think that brings some of the realism into it. And in this particular instance, I like that it's like documentary. It's like, oh, this is an event that everybody knows about. What actually happened that night? We're going to take a look at it. So I felt very tense.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely felt touch. I don't know if it made it scarier for me, but it definitely it worked to create like a sense of anxiety and tension and stuff. So,
I definitely felt the tension building throughout, like
Yeah.
the conflict between, you know, the characters and stuff, and you just could feel something was going to happen.
Yeah, so this Night Owl show is like interviews, sketches, comedy bits, like that kind of stuff. They show him doing this caveman kind of sketch comedy thing. So it was a little bit of everything. I'm sure it's more like whatever that Australian talk show, Dawn Lane.
But I think you're going to be familiar, even if you're not familiar. Like, I don't watch a lot of late night shows. But I'm like, yep, that feels right. That feels accurate.
Yeah, and I think it's emblematic of like what talk shows were like in the 70s and 80s. And then Jack in 72 gets a 5-year deal with the network, UBC. I mean, it's just made up network, I assume. And he keeps getting nominated for Emmys, but not winning. Johnny Carson always wins the Emmy Awards.
With an Emmy nomination to his name and growing audience share, Jack's sights are set on the coveted late night crown.
He is married to Madeline Piper, who is a beloved stage actress, is how they describe her. And then they talk about how Jack is involved with the Grove. So this is,
I want to pull you about Madeline real quick.
Oh yeah, go for
Because
it.
I pulled out a detail. Did any of you think she looked super modern in the like the recap, the intro?
Oh.
Like everybody else looked very 70s, and Madeline, I was like I could see you in the street like today. Like,
Yeah.
you looked very modern.
Yeah, like
It
her
was
hairstyle wasn't
different.
particularly
Yeah.
70s or anything like that. Yeah,
I
I
didn't think
can see
anything
that.
like really about her. She looked very of now, and I'm wondering if that was intentional, if that's just happened to be how it was done.
I'll have to think about it. I didn't track that when I was watching it, but yeah, now what new layers of meaning? And then yeah, the Grove is a cult in the woods for wealthy businessmen.
Did you
in the
guys look
California
into
redwoods.
that at all? Like
It's real.
Yeah, it's a real thing.
Yeah,
There's
I
a
wrote
Wikipedia
down
page.
What that was? It was
Bohemian Grove.
Yeah, which is So I didn't look it up until afterwards, but
Yeah. Well, I did look it up
yeah.
afterwards, but it's from like the 1800s, and it's like a 2,000 plus acre piece of land in California that has been kind of used as a campground for the rich and powerful.
Jack's association with the Grove, a men-only club located in the redwoods of California, has been the subject of rumors since his days in radio. Established in the 1800s and counting among its members politicians, entertainers, and captains of industry, the Grove has long portrayed itself as a harmless summer camp for the rich and powerful. But speculation swirls around its taste for arcane ceremony and its power to make and break careers.
One of the most interesting facts that I read was that there was a Manhattan Project meeting there in September of, basically right before the atomic bomb. And
So the people who were working on it,
Oppenheimer was there, which is just nuts to me. And
so
just
was the Bohemian Grove doing arcane occult stuff, or was it just kind of a social club?
It's they call it a gentleman's club, whatever
Okay.
that means. It's exclusive.
Okay.
But I think that generally people of power mixed with artists and creative people.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, they kind of hint that this is a little bit more, what am the word I'm looking for?
Yeah, culty.
Culty. Yeah, with the occult, they're doing rituals. It's something that no one really knows what they're doing there.
I think they were dressed like owls. Some of them, look like they might have owl costumes on.
Yeah, robes, ritualistic like things.
A lot of
knives, stuff
owl
like that.
imagery in this movie.
Yeah, night owls. Oh yeah, I didn't make the connection.
And you know the little interstitial kind of like commercial break, they would have the little picture of the owl, the little cute graphic of the owl with the pumpkin, or all of them had an owl in it.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like there's probably a lot of little things like that if you really paid attention. We'll talk later about what I swear like flashes on the screen all the time. So this summer camp for adults, Jack is involved with it, but he still, after 4 years, can't beat Johnny Carson. And then in fall of 1976, Madeline gets lung cancer, never having smoked. In October of that year, she goes on the show. They show a little clip of them on that show. He gets a rating spike, and then shortly thereafter, she passes away. Then Jack disappears, I guess. They kind of, don't they say like he just goes away for a month, comes back.
I thought it was a year.
I think it was a month.
Only a
it was
month?
a year before they do the show,
okay.
like a year on the anniversary of pretty much the night his wife died. But he comes back and he starts doing the show again. They're in a ratings free fall, but he's doing all sorts of controversial stuff. So his producer is like putting all these people on the show that, he fights with and has like arguments with, and like they're really trying to get the ratings up, but it's not working. And then
Picks on poor Gus.
Yeah, poor Gus.
Justice for Gus.
Low key, I feel really bad for Gus. He's one of my favorite characters.
I do too.
But
Me too.
And then it is Halloween week. They picked 1977, I read, because that year Halloween fell on a Monday, which would have been the beginning of Sweeps Week and would have been an important ratings night. So they wanted it, like this Halloween show had to like pay off for them, had to have big ratings for them to keep going. Otherwise, the show is going to get canceled. So that is kind of our setup for the movie.
A desperate Jack plans an episode he hopes will turn his fortunes around.
Let's get the audience in, guys.
What you are about to see is the recently discovered master tape of what went to air that night.
So it's Halloween 1977, the anniversary of his wife's death, and we jump in to the beginning of the show with the guests who are going to be Christou. I think maybe Christou is how they say it.
I think Christou, yeah.
Who is a
mentalist.
He's a medium.
Yeah, he's a medium. He talks to
Channeling.
dead people. Carmichael Haig, who is a skeptic.
And an ex-magician.
And stage magician.
Mm-hmm.
And then Dr. June Russ Mitchell, who has a new book about her conversations with the devil inside of a girl named Lily.
And she's a parapsychologist.
Yeah. And then Miss Cleo James with a jazz medley.
You really
Still
locked
waiting
into
on
that.
jazz medley.
We'll get it to you, Brendan.
Yeah.
We'll put it in the clips.
Joining us on our spooky Halloween special, Christou, Carmichael Hay, Dr. June Ross Mitchell with the subject of her new book, Lily, Miss Cleo James with a bewitching jazz medley, plus our annual Halloween costume parade.
And because it's a Halloween episode, everyone's all dressed up in the audience in Halloween costumes. Another red, I won't say, it doesn't matter. Everyone has either watched it or not watched it, but there's this guy in a skeleton costume that I was like, something's going to happen with that guy.
Because they're like, oh, in the parade of costumes coming up, remember that we always do this. And they have this bizarre skeleton sitting there, and you're like, yeah, that's good. That's not going to go well.
Getting a huge amount of like shots and screen time and stuff. So I was like, there's got to be something up with this guy. We can talk later if we think there's
like
any sort of
maybe he's
symbolism
representational of something. I don't know.
Death is with you.
But there's a fully masked, I should say, skeleton costume. And then we meet Gus McConnell is the
sidekick.
The announcer. I guess like all talk shows kind of have
He's
this
like a
announcer.
band leader / announcer / sidekick kind of.
Right. I think of a famous analog that we would know. Who's always
Andy
on
Richter?
with Andy Richter with Conan?
Yeah.
Like that kind of thing. Like does the announcing, and then kind of does like back and forth when they do their
Ed McMahon.
Yeah, Ed McMahon, wasn't he?
Johnny Carson.
That's how Ed McMahon. I didn't know that. Okay,
you didn't know that?
And then he's wearing a devil's costume, and he's playing the theremin, which is great. We have theremins for checkout at the library if you're interested. So
What do you got there, Gus? A theremin, Jack. It's a musical instrument. Oh, that's not music, Gus.
And then Jack comes out and does, those little pre-written stand-up bits. He's doing president jokes and Reggie Johnson baseball jokes and
Reggie Jackson.
Okay, I wrote down the wrong thing, but yeah, I mean,
I'm from the time, okay, so I'm gonna know.
That's awesome. Thanks for catching me on that. And then he also says, I guess you could say that we're really hoping we do well on Sweeps Week because he does his Vincent Price. Ooh, Sweeps Week.
Sweep, sweep. Oh, that's right. Boy, where is Vincent Price when you need him? Boy, I tell you what.
Yeah, and then we pretty much kick into the first guest, which is going to be Christou, which I was kind of tracking was like Middle Eastern, Egyptian, like something like that, like kind of some mystical connection. He talks to the dead. Kind of has like, I don't know how you guys felt about Christou, but like I kind of was like, he's kind of a con man
felt
vibes.
like
Yes,
scammy,
no, I
for
don't
sure.
like mentalists in general
Yeah.
in real life. Like I strongly do not like mentalists because their whole magic is tricking you, and that like who does that feel good for? Nobody.
Yeah.
And it's put on. That was the hardest part for me to watch in the entire movie was the Christou segment.
Yeah.
Doing his
yeah.
thing.
The medium kind of shtick is like, I guess it depends on your beliefs if you believe it's real or not. But if it's not real, it's quite cruel. Because usually you're kind of taking advantage of somebody who is missing a loved one who's passed away and would just love to connect with them one more time. And I just think that's so sad. But I think some people, it probably gives them comfort if they feel like they are reaching out to someone on the other side. So it's kind of a
even
hard...
from his persona, you can tell that this is like certainly is something that he's put together completely. Like insists on being calling Christou instead of like his name, which they flashed.
Right.
And then like his accent is mostly Spanish, but sometimes wiggles a little bit.
Yeah. So it's hard to place any of that. He definitely feels like it was a whole total made up personality, which probably it was. And then he's doing that thing where he's like talking to the audience, trying to get people to say, "Oh, that's me." That that you're channeling, my dead uncle or something like that.
Feels like he was just trying to throw
He's
everything
fishing.
to the wall to see what stuck, to see who, it didn't seem like he really knew, had a
in real life, doing that is a talent, being able to grab those small informations without people notice. So like, it's not that there isn't skill or talent involved in doing that, but when you're tricking people and that puts this on full display,
yes,
it can be cruel.
And then when we find out later that Christou had like an assistant or someone going around and talking to people while they're waiting in line and like getting some of that kind of information. So I think, just as you expect, he's trying to set himself up to kind of perform. I also watched some clips of like old Johnny Carson magicians and stuff. And this is often the thing, like where they're not really doing a good job. Like a lot of people go on the shows and not perform their tricks well because like it's not working out.
I've seen it. I've seen it.
Because it is live television.
awkward.
It's on it. Like it's just like
It
and
can
like
go really wrong.
Yeah. So does kind of eventually get this mother daughter people in the audience too. He connects with them about was it a
it was her son and brother, yeah,
who committed suicide, and he had the name ready to go and the name of a teddy bear that the brother had.
The teddy bear, yeah.
So he does kind of start to like people are kind of buying into it more towards the end of his bit, and then
I think they do a good job with the tension here because you're like, oh yeah, I'm just watching a late night act go a little bit wrong and a little bit right. This is very, very normal, but it's got like a little bit of background music. It's got the kind of focus. The camera cuts off. They have to change the camera feeds now and then because the camera will cut off. So it's building tension at the same time that nothing is happening, and I thought that was done quite well. I was really starting to pick up the anxiety as this went on and got a little further.
Yeah, and obviously things start to go kind of off the rails when he hears someone named Minnie. He's trying to respond to that. He seems
channeling. Like he's having some intense head pain while
his
this is
accent's
going
gone
on. Yeah.
at this point.
Yeah, and so we as people, the viewers, like kind of get the sense that this might be more real or something different is going on here, and he seems a little caught off guard. But yeah, he's channeling someone named Minnie. He mentions that she's talking about a man who wears a wedding ring but isn't married.
I'm getting the name Minnie. Does anyone here know a Minnie? Please accept.
Does this name mean anything to anyone in the studio? No? Perhaps a name that sounds like Minnie. Maybe it's like a Millie or a Mandy. Perhaps.
I had a great Aunt Molly.
It's Minnie! Please, who will accept? So much sadness. I see a wedding ring. An unmarried man with a wedding ring. The spirit needs to talk to you. Who are you?
There's sparks and electricity shooting through the studio, and then and Christou is looking very shaken at this point. So Jack cuts to a commercial break, and then we get that first commercial break where they have that behind the scenes footage that I really like, where you're kind of with them walking around, getting their makeup touched up. They're talking to the producer. Jack talks to the producer. There's a mention that the head of marketing of the station,
the network,
probably. The network is there in the front row. This could be a big night. So far, so good. especially when you have something like Christou actually channeling something. Christou's looking totally messed up. He's totally out of it. He's starting to like kind of cough, and like he seems like he's got something caught in his throat. And we immediately, I love how they put him back on stage. I mean, I guess you have to have him up there for the skeptic to kind of go at him a little bit, but he's up there, and they bring on Carmichael Haig. I don't know. Any thoughts about this guy?
I actually enjoyed having this character on the show for the tension that he was supposed to bring both to the show.
Yeah.
Does a great job for the film as well. Like
Yeah.
here's your disbeliever. Here's your snooty, punchable guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt the same way.
The guy you all want to have get his by the end of the movie.
Yeah.
And
And had he already said he was offering some sort of giant reward for anybody who...
during this bit, he talks about, okay, so he is a former stage magician. He does some close-up magic with cigars, and it's just really goofy. And then he admits that, it's all fake stuff, and I'm a skeptic now, which means he runs an organization, IFSIP. I do not have what the acronym is.
Jack, I'm the first to admit the world would be a more interesting place if people could magically bend spoons, or divine water with a stick, or talk to the dead.
They try to analyze mysteries, prove them wrong. Like I said, this was based off of a real person who's very famous for being a skeptic and proving, all these kind of things wrong. And he offers $100,000, I think was what it was.
We offer a not insubstantial reward for anyone whose claims can be verified.
Hey, we get a shot on this. Camera one, 100 grand.
It was weird because later in the movie, they talk about $500,000. So it's one or the other, but he offers any money to anyone who can prove to him that their claims are true. Christou's hacking on stage, and there's clearly something wrong with him. All while Carmichael is just really laying into him.
Moment that I liked was when Jack is trying to comfort, not Carmichael, Christou, who is clearly having a bad time, and the makeup artist is like, "Oh, you got blood. Let me get the blood off you."
So he's coughing blood?
He's like, well, he had blood coming out of his nose. He's clearly suffering, and everybody's also like, yeah, let's get the makeup
the
on him.
makeup artist is like...
Let me get the blood off your nose.
Yeah.
You can get that. And then Jack was like, oh, don't worry about this next guy. He's all wax, no wick. You'll be fine. And like,
yeah.
Did I not see that this guy is clearly suffering in front of you?
It's necessary.
You got a little bit of sweat going on, honey.
Please, stop! Haig's on next. Pay him no mind. He's all wax, no wick, okay?
I mean, they're all laser focused on making sure this.
I've started saying that about pretty much everyone. All wax, no wick.
Wax,
so
no
you're not safe around me if you see me in the wild.
But yeah, Carmichael calls Christou a liar, a cheat, a charlatan, and Christou gets pissed off, throws some water in his face. I think that's what happens. And then. Then Jack says that he thinks maybe the last reading that Christou did was maybe aimed at him.
He finally admits to that.
Yeah, he says his nickname for his wife was
when
Minnie.
they cut off to the commercial, I'm like, this is where I have lost all trust in Jack. I'm like, he knows something's up. I don't know if it's him or if he's not claiming it or if he knows something, but I was not into Jack after this point.
Yeah, why did he show no indication whatsoever when he first started saying that he was in touch with Minnie? Like, he gave no indication whatsoever.
Yeah, he plays it off, too. He's like, oh, guess that one got away from you. It happens.
Funny as it may seem, I actually believe that last reading may have been meant for me.
It was very dishonest.
Yeah. I guess it took me a little more longer into the film before I turned on Jack or started really wondering about him. This didn't really catch me off guard. I think he was just, my assumption was that he was just kind of caught off guard by the fact that something real, like in reference to him, he had a wedding ring on because his wife had passed away. So he wasn't married, but he had the wedding ring, and Minnie was the nickname for his wife.
The actor does a great job of like caught in the headlights in that moment. Like he doesn't know what to do. You can kind of see that, but I still lost trust in him.
Yeah. So little by little, like we start to think, question kind of Jack's whole motives or what's going on with him throughout the movie. But it kind of begins here, and then Christou then belches black ichor all over Carmichael, which is
really gross.
Yeah. Feel bad for Christou. It was satisfying to see it hit Carmichael, I guess. But
something's not right!
I need a doctor!
Carmichael's so smug and condescending. It was.
And it's like, is that real enough for you?
Yeah.
So the effects on that, I like at the when it first happened, I was a little like taken aback because it is like it's a little bit cheesy, very sort of Evil Dead kind of effect there, blood spilling or tar spraying or that kind of thing. Call out to The Exorcist. And initially, I didn't particularly like the graphics. I feel like I'm drawing back. I'm not as involved. But in retrospective, I'm like, oh no, I love this. Like these practical effects. It feels like maybe it could have been something that happened in the 70s. So ultimately, I think this is a great choice, the way they did the effects.
Yeah, it was almost all practical effects throughout the movie. Like
going back to
some of them hit better than others. We can talk about that later. But
going back to the lightning around the studio, it's that animation drawn over film that you would have. I think of it as 80s effects where they would where they draw over it, and they would always do electricity that way. So, I noticed that. There's many other ways you can do that now for
I didn't catch
pennies
that
on the dollar, but that sort of rotoscaped lightning is very of the times in the effects.
So, I thought it definitely felt of the time. I agree. So,
did you guys hear there was a controversy about AI in this movie at all?
I did read, I saw just before we started recording that there was a few
There was
AI...
2 or 3 images that they used. And, in their defense, it was kind of before it became such a hot button topic when they used them, and they were making an indie film, probably trying to on a very low budget
cut corners.
Yeah, so give them the benefit of the doubt.
We'll say whoever's working the practical effects was used quite well during that movie. There's a lot of commitment to the practical.
Doubt it's much of the film.
They said 3 images, I believe.
Yeah, I think Hollywood and just people in general are very anti using AI.
Right. They'd rather use people.
Yeah, people to do the work, you know. This was 2023, so good couple of years ago. But then we're on another commercial break. Christou is just something's not right. He's losing it. He's taken off stage, and Carmichael's talking to Jack and talking about, he's a fool for falling for the mini thing, and that what's up with the Grove, Carmichael wants to go and, participate in whatever's going on at the Grove. He surmises that it's all orgies and fun stuff. And Jack definitely does not like Carmichael. You get the sense. And the producer's supposed to be keeping them apart while this is all going on, but he's not doing that. And so ratings are so far so good. Yeah, Christou's spewing Black Ichor is great for TV audiences. We talk about the $100,000 check, and then we are now talking to the next guest, which is Dr. June Ross Mitchell and Lily.
What did Carmichael call the vomiting? He's like, "Oh, that's a technique. Spewing. It's something you can learn." I'm like, "Sure,
yeah, that's
buddy."
right. He said that.
So as hard as it would be to try to figure out how that works, he says it's something people do. So up until the point where he finds out what happens to Christou, he just thinks of him as completely faking the whole thing. Yeah, so we got this doctor, the psychiatrist who works at the Psy Research Center coming up. Is it before or after? She's on stage. They showed the clips.
Yeah, about Lily and her background, right?
Yeah. This cult of Abraxas.
Sole survivor of the cult of Abraxas.
Sole survivor of a satanic death cult.
Went down in a standoff with the government and burned themselves. And
the church's founder and leader, the enigmatic Xander Diabo.
Abraxas shows us there is no good, no evil, no redemption. Only what we desire and how we obtain it.
Which is, I thought it was funny that this death cult, demon worshipping cult, just allowed cameras to come in and film them doing their rituals. I was like, really?
I got that impression
cutting their
that the guy running it, sitting down for interviews and whatnot, was all about the look at me, I'm a cult leader. You want to join my cult? Like
he's got the ego of a cult leader.
Exactly.
His name was Xander Diabo, which as close as you can get to Diablo. I mean, come on.
No kidding.
Yeah, so you got this insinuation that they were making human sacrifices and that children were being abused, were being born and raised in this cult.
Just for sacrifice.
That kind of thing. And which is, was another thing I had noted, or was one of the trivia things, was that this was the kind of the satanic panic era, where there was a book called Michelle Remembers, where a psychiatrist named Lawrence Pazder had his patient, Michelle Smith, who later became his wife. And he would talk to, again, some kind of, he helped her resurface memories of being in a satanic cult and being abused and all this stuff. And in the 80s was just that's when people hated Dungeons and Dragons and everything. But it all kind of steamrolled from the psychiatrists and these satanic cults.
And all of the heavy metal bands that were being taken to court because supposedly their music said something when you played it backward, and it brainwashed kids to do horrible things. And parents were scared to let their kids, participate in certain things or listen to certain music or read certain books. Not mine, because I could do whatever I want, but
I thought the Diablo character was great. partially hilarious, and then they're like, "Oh yeah, people are gonna totally follow this dork in a jumpsuit."
Yeah, and like a tonsure or whatever. Like his style was just
and just the way he like
totally
sits
whack.
down and talks to the reporter and whatnot. You can tell exactly what's going on here. It doesn't take a lot to get the local news to write a piece about you and get people hyped up. Like,
yeah.
This guy is not a particularly powerful or interesting man, and yet
he's got some charisma, right? Or else he wouldn't have a cult.
It kind of reminded me of like Waco, that Waco thing at like the with the
With
government,
the federal agents,
coming in. It was like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, they're kind of calling back to a lot of different things, different events.
Yeah, and so Sandra Diabo burns the house down.
Mm-hmm.
They find in the remains of the house this 10-year-old girl named Lily, and so Dr. Mitchell takes this girl. I guess.
She like
adopts her,
Yeah.
which is the with the other book with the person you're
We're
analyzing.
family.
Yeah, so they're family technically, but she's also studying her for 3 years, and then she has this book written. So they're on the show, and then Lily and Dr. Mitchell come out.
And can I just say, this girl's body language
Yeah.
was so disturbing and unnatural.
It was perfect for the role.
It was perfect
perfect.
for the role. Like, she did a great job because the way she moved, her facial expressions, everything was so unnatural.
And Lily, so pleased that you could join us today.
Thank you, Mr. Delroy. I'm so glad you could join us too.
Yeah, and she was looking only at cameras. Like when people were talking to her, like the Jack, like she wouldn't really look at them. She was mostly just staring into the camera, just like there's a term for that.
That was
like,
my favorite. That
spiking
sort
the
of-
camera, like
that-
just looking into it.
I love that death stare into the camera. It was like funny and creepy. Like
Yeah.
it's just perfectly played.
Yeah.
Like they gave her one role, she nailed that. Just
She
looking at
really
the camera
got
all
it,
the time.
yeah.
She even asked, she's like, "Which camera should I look into now?" And they're like, "No, please stop. Don't, stop doing that."
I think she asked that during commercial break, and they were like, oh, you don't
Speaking
need
of
to.
commercial break, before we even meet Lily, we meet June, and Jack goes to talk to her, and there's clearly kind of something between them because he immediately just gets super close to her.
Yeah.
And while this is a personal pet peeve with all Hollywood movies, they put people way closer together than anybody would ever be comfortable with.
Yes.
But, like their faces are really close, so there's some kind of like what's going on there, and I'm already not trusting Jack at this point. So I'm like, sitting there with my arms crossed, be like, well, what's it gonna be, buddy?
He
And
seems
she's-
like he's trying to manipulate her
Yes.
into doing something she's not
Absolutely.
comfortable with.
It's clear that he's
Yeah.
trying to. It'll be fine. And she's nervous about this whole thing, which adds a good amount of tension to make it feel realistic. Like she
Definitely.
believes that something's here, something can go wrong. It's not necessarily just about me caring for Lily.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I also, when she was saying, we shouldn't do this, maybe we shouldn't do this, or we're ready to go, like we should do the whole thing. I was like, man, what? She should have. If she was a better
Yeah.
kind of like protector of this girl and all this stuff, she should have taken them out of the situation much, much earlier. But yeah, we do learn later that they have an affair going on. And that's when I started to lose Jack. I was like, wait a minute, like what's going on here? Why does he have her on? Like when did this relationship start? Like how did it start?
Yeah,
like
I'm still confused about the
he
timeline.
said a manuscript
I'm like,
came onto his desk, which meant he read the book before it was published. Like, so I don't know how involved he is. We'll never know.
Yeah,
but
we
a
won't.
previous guest.
yeah, I did like that. Like this demon Abraxas is known, like because they say like it's related to the word abracadabra. Like it's the performer.
Don't be silly, my dear. If we accept the Gnostic interpretation, Abraxas is the consummate showman. He craves an audience. After all, his name is the source of the magician's favorite incantation.
Abracadabra.
Clever girl.
And she comes out and really looks like she wants to be a performer. Like she knows this is her moment. Looking at the camera, smiling, trying to like, sell it. Like, and I feel like, that's maybe Abraxas coming out a little bit.
Yes.
Though she had a voice lower. She did cock her head and do a voice lower right at the beginning.
Yes.
Like when she was looking between cameras, I think it was when Jack walked by. She like cocked her head and did a lower voice. To
Yeah, I
tell him
wrote.
something.
I'll put that in here. But it was when Jack said there time to look pretty when they needed to get their makeup touched up, and she said something like to
yes,
him
not
in a
pretty
different
enough for
voice.
you.
Yeah.
Time to make ourselves pretty again.
Hey, Jack.
Don't I already look pretty, Jack?
You're good.
Oh, we didn't mention though that in the clips too, there was also that the very first time she had talked to the demon inside Lily, and it's just like you could hear things flying around the room, but it's all just recorded audio, and then you hear different voices and screams and stuff like that. So we know kind of a little bit of what we're going to get into.
Do you think that's too scary for the 70s? Like, I thought that tape was pretty chilling. Here's my first interview with her, and they did a good job on that. And, having seen The Exorcist and the horror that was, maybe a little too much for the time, I'm kind of like, I think this by itself would have been pretty darn famous. It's terrifying.
Yeah, I mean, like you mentioned Exorcist, that was huge, and that was what I wrote down, like 73. So that would have been 4 years prior to this airing of this show. So maybe people would have been prepped and more ready for it.
I think for a late night, it would have been fine.
Because it was very Exorcist. All the way she acts while being possessed is very much like Exorcist. I felt there's a lot of things, connections there. But during a commercial break, she's expressing concerns about doing this and said recently Lily went into this fugue state and was talking about Jack, who she had never met before, like she was recalling something through this demon and stuff. And so she was like, and we get during this commercial break a clear indication that Jack and June are having an affair. And then during this break as well, lots going on in this break. So we're talking about all these kind of things happening one after the other. Then the call comes in from the Sinai hospital that Christou is dead after hemorrhaging in the ambulance. Yeah,
on the way to the hospital.
This is where the skeptic is initially. You can see a little bit of rattle. Like he still has his composure, but you can see him kind of suddenly run out of words.
Yeah. So when Gus a little bit later, but Gus tells him, and he has this look on his face, like he's trying to figure out how this all happened. So when they come back from, so the things are getting stressful, but they keep coming back and all sitting on the stage and continuing on with the show. I like the house band's scary music. So then June talks about herself, and Carmichael keeps interrupting. He's really amping up the rudeness here and calling her out. She prefers the term psychic infestation over demonic possession. What are we quibbling over?
Yeah.
But clearly it's important to her. And then she talks about how Lily is now 13 years old. She doesn't think it's Abraxas that's inside Lily, but a minor demon deity I don't know what you guys thought. When we start experiencing it, and through the end of the movie, I think it is Abraxas, but
I don't know. I mean, as you said, Lily comes out with that weird body language and constantly trying to want to play to the camera. I mean, it seems like it could be Abraxas. There's some things she says that makes me think it is Abraxas, but yeah, I don't know.
I'm convinced by the ending that it is.
So this is just June not really knowing what she's talking about. And she hits back a little bit at Carmichael and his quips.
Look, I understand that some of this might seem to stretch credulity, but remember, big, new, scientific ideas are always greeted with some resistance. It's only the most close-minded that greet them with ridicule.
Brings out a private collection of tools and objects when she refers to a private. So I just assume she must have gotten it from the Abraxas cult, including a sacrificial dagger. Carmichael plays with it a little bit. And then we find out the name that Lily gives to this possession, Mr. Wiggles. Mr. Wriggles.
Mr. Wriggles.
He kind of wriggles his way inside my head, and then he wriggles his way out.
It's
She
kind
can
of
always feel it, right?
Yeah, it might be like a callback. I don't know if it is, but to The Exorcist too, because that was Captain Howdy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I bet that's what it was.
So I think, it's gross, but Mr. Wriggles, I was like, no, don't call it that, please.
Yeah, and we also got a lot of worms going on in this
Oh,
movie.
yeah.
That's exactly the direction I was going to go as we're getting into those worms. Maybe if you're Australian, the really, really big night crawlers.
Yeah, their wriggles are worse than our wriggles for sure.
That's for sure.
And so, it's always wriggling inside her brain. The theremin goes off at some point here. It shocks poor Gus. Gus is just beginning to have a rough night, and Lily and then Carmichael unplugs the theremin, saves everybody, and Lily asks why he's so condescending.
Why must you be so condescending, Mr. Haig?
Lily says Mr. Wriggles is here in the studio. She wants to go through with the kind of, what do they call that? Commune?
It's called conjuring when
conjuring?
the person, not Lily, but what's the other lady's name? June.
Brings it out.
Yeah, brings it out.
June doesn't want to do it, but they cut to break. Jack says something like, we're going to commune with the devil for the first time on live television after the break.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stay tuned for a live television first as we attempt to commune with the devil.
Lily says she knows what she's doing. Gus is starting to get a little freaked out now. The crew's getting scared. So people are really starting to get uneasy behind the scenes, but Jack and his producer are pushing through. Carmichael's still figuring out a way to kind of try to figure out how to poke holes in all this stuff. And then we're back to do.
Yeah, I like that. I want to pull it back to Gus, in defense of Gus, and this is the one
In
where
defense
he's
of
like,
Gus.
"Is this a really good idea? We should pull out. My wife wants me to come home with my head on my shoulders," and I'm like, "Ooh, don't let that be a smoking gun. Don't do it, Jack."
Yeah.
Gotta listen to Gus. He's trying to be reasonable. You don't treat this guy terribly well. He's asking you something here.
Yeah, it didn't occur to me in that moment, but yeah, looking back on it, poor Gus, foreshadowed.
Yeah, foreshadow.
My wife likes the way my head sits on my shoulders, Mr. Haig. I hope you're not planning to make it spin.
Yeah, so Lily has a kind of this weird half smile, and she's again spiking the camera and just is ready to do this.
I love that so much.
Yeah, it's just she was creepy before the monster makeup even appeared. Yeah, she gets put to sleep by June and heads down, long hair, which is always scary for a girl to have her hair over her face and you can't see what's going on. But she starts to convulse and has the evil laughter, and you hear this very creepy masculine voice, and she lifts her head up and
her face is
altered.
altered.
Her face is altered, peering through her hair.
Yeah.
Different colored eyes.
Speak.
You know who I am, Doctor.
And it's almost like her voice and another voice overlaid, which I thought was such a creepy effect.
Oh, you thought it was...
It sounded like you could slightly hear her voice underneath, and then another voice mixed with it. And I thought that effect was even more creepy than if it would have just been the masculine voice on its own.
You think it was both her doing two different voices and then record?
I'm not sure how they did that, but I liked it.
Yeah, and it felt like Mr. Riggles is a completely different person. Yeah, very. I always think of the Ring with the hair and the face and stuff like that. So yeah.
And how much blame do you have for June at this point? Because it's like, okay, go ahead and fasten the restraints. I'm like, look, you're literally tying her down.
I know.
You know how
June
bad
knows
an
what's
idea
gonna
this
happen.
is.
Yeah. Throughout this whole thing, more and more, I was just like, I don't like June. I feel like she's manipulating this young girl or using her for her own ends. I mean, she has a book. Her whole career is based on this child.
Yeah.
That's Carmichael's angle. I'm starting to come into his side now where he's like, this is starting to be unconscionable to use this. Like he multiple times is like, you need to stop this.
And did you hear the term that she uses for Lily multiple times? She says, Lily, to me. That's a term that dog trainers use for their dogs, like herding dogs and stuff. It just, I didn't, that really put me off.
Yeah.
For all your sort of, not frail, but hesitancy, or how would you describe June that way?
Oh, she seems a little vulnerable, but I don't feel like she is really vulnerable.
Yes, exactly.
I think, she's definitely manipulating Lily in that situation, and then Jack might be manipulating her, and it's just kind of a series of things. So the funniest thing was Mr. Riggles, when he is conjured, is surprised by the lights and the stage and the people and doesn't know what's going on. He's asking what's going on, but if he was there, why is he surprised?
Seemingly.
Yeah, so I don't know kind of what that meant or what was going on there. But
who are these people? What is this?
Where am I? There is no need to be alarmed.
Mr. Rickles recognizes Jack almost immediately.
My purpose? He's here, isn't he? Good to see you again, Jack.
Sorry, I don't believe we've been acquainted.
Don't be a fool. We go way back. We met amongst the tall trees. Remember?
Says something about, I remember you from the
tall trees.
Tall trees, yeah, that was it. I was going to say the grove, but yeah, he specifically just references the trees. So at this point now, with the affair thing going on, the questionability of this guest, and
is it an affair if his wife is dead?
Okay, yeah.
Sorry. Continue.
Yeah, I'll
relationship.
Have to edit out me using the word affair 10 times so far in this episode.
You could call it that. Some people still call it that.
I want you to get the comments online, right?
Yeah. But in the movie An Affair to Remember, that wasn't anyone cheating, right?
Right.
It's just an affair, when it's out of wedlock, maybe.
I think so.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, and it's because he's known for that, being super devoted to his wife. That
still
was,
wears his
wears
wedding
his
ring.
wedding ring. That was his big rated episode.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
so
I won't edit it out, but good point, Rob. They're free to do
good
what they
old
want.
Jack, free and clear. Off he goes to the grove.
Yeah, you just outed yourself as a Carmichael stan a few minutes ago, so we're gonna leave you there. So Lily / Mr. Riggles says something about my purpose, and then looks at Jack and says, "He's here, isn't he?" And then makes that reference to the tall trees. So we know that this demon and Jack in the grove, something went on there. That's all we know at this point. And then Mr. Riggles really starts to get offensive with references to what's going on between Jack and June.
Mm-hmm.
Very Exorcist.
Yeah, I actually have that in bold right here. Very Exorcist. And it gets to the point where June slaps Lily, which that's when I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, you knew what to expect, and then you still like.
And if you're
hit the
willing
kid.
to slap this child on television, like what are you doing to her when you guys are on your own?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I was awake with the willingly, oh, let me strap you down. Let me bolt you to this chair. Like,
Yeah.
no, June.
Yeah.
Yeah, so easily offended, I guess. But she pulls out a talisman, and Lily's like crying, and you can tell like she's like struggling with this demon inside of her. And June pulls out the talisman or something, some kind of object, and starts speaking in Latin, like you said, return to me, Lily.
Mm-hmm.
So at this point, there's the studio, there's like crackling and static going on, and she says,
How could you let it happen, Jack? How could you let it happen?
Which is interesting. We're wondering what that's hinting at. And lightning shooting around the studios, and Lily's chair goes up in the air, and she's floating and looks scared. And then at this point, Dr. Mitchell is able to get her to kind of return to herself, and the chair comes back down.
To me, Lily.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So it works. Yeah. So, and then Carmichael clearly at this exact moment wants to say his little bit about what he thinks is going on, but they cut to a commercial. Jack's, everyone, the audience is completely quiet. Like, this was a very convincing conjuring, as you say. Totally silent on set, and Lily's kind of embarrassed. She doesn't really know what Mr. Riggle said, but she knows, like, that it probably wasn't great. And she's asking to have the restraints removed. And June's super angry, wants to know what this tall trees bit was going on.
The tall trees. What did she mean by that?
Jack kind of ignores that, gets the sacrificial knife, and starts cutting. I was waiting for something to happen, like during this scene where he's cutting the restraints off with the knife, but nothing happened.
Me too. I also was really tense during that part.
I keep coming back to it, but I think this movie just did a fantastic job with where it puts its tension.
Yeah. And then and at this point, Gus is like, man, people are taking off. I want to get out of here. I can't do this anymore. The producer says, just shut up and perform, essentially, to Gus. And so Gus is forced to stick around. Yeah, the ratings are going great, though. Jack and the producer are super excited about that. And then I think at this point, Jack also mentions offhandedly to the producer that Lily sounded like Minnie, which is another hint. We're starting to kind of piece together maybe something going on here.
That girl's voice. I know. How did she do that? Yeah, but at the end, I mean, she sounded just like Minnie. You heard
No. Don't you go all screwy on me, Jack.
And I will say, all the way through the ending, I still have no idea exactly what happened. There's a lot of ambiguity.
I think
in
Minnie
this movie.
did come in for a bit. I think, was it the Why Would You Let It Happen? I
Yeah.
can't remember what
like,
I think that
how
was
could you
right?
let it happen, Jack?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you definitely got Minnie.
Yeah, but like what happened prior to this night, like what Jack was involved in, like how much he knew, like all that kind of stuff is
I feel like
ambiguous.
I have a good idea, but it's very similar to the plot line of Rosemary's Baby, where the husband will make a sacrifice, but the wife will be the one to actually pay the price for the sacrifice, and the husband will get the success.
Which is probably another reference in this movie.
This is another point where I think I had my prediction going along of like what's going to happen, who's going on, why is there a skeleton? Like I had my own ideas here. Didn't turn out exactly how I thought, but I had some ideas.
Yeah, and I was kind of in the dark at this point for the most part. So now we're back from break, and Jack does a little apology for anyone who's been offended so far at what's happened.
That's everyone, Jack.
Yeah. But everyone's still watching and glued to their TVs, I'm sure. And now Carmichael has his moment to kind of prove it all wrong.
Let me preface this by saying that my chief concern is the welfare, indeed the sanity, of this young girl.
How dare you?
I think that you are just a self-righteous, cold-hearted curmudgeon who's trying to weasel his way out of parting with $500,000.
If you'll allow me, Jack, I'd like to prove my thesis beyond a shadow of doubt. Be my guest.
I guess, the talk show host would have these people kind of do this where they would wrong their guess. It seemed kind of like pretty offensive to have someone on do something and then have someone else on to kind of show that it was all fake. Right. I mean, Jack probably wasn't expecting him to prove anything.
Right. But that's why he's there. That's this whole skeptic thing. How are you going to explain that, Carmichael? And either he's going to fight about it or he's going to do something. Yeah.
But I kind of like this part of the movie where Carmichael gets Gus to be the stand-in for Lily.
This is wild.
Yeah. Then they sit down. He gets them to lower the lights. I don't know why there's fog. Like, did some stagehand? They're all freaked out apparently. Yeah. But some guy's like, I'm going to turn on a little fog for this part. But there's fog. There's it's good ambiance for this this thing. I don't know what's going to happen, but so Carmichael pulls out a watch that has a spiral, the traditional hypnotization spiral, puts Gus into a trance. Like that's kind of what we're thinking at this point. We'll find out later that like he put everyone in the studio in a trance and potentially everyone at home into a trance. So Gus is kind of, been hypnotized. Yeah. So then he starts talking to Gus.
Tell me all about this vermophobia of yours.
I'm sorry, my what?
Your morbid fear of worms.
Gus starts feeling warm, hot, and then Carmichael's just kind of talking to
itchy.
him. Yeah, he gets itchy, and then he's itching his neck, and Carmichael says, "There's something on your neck." It's and then we see like there's like a hole, like it's
hole
bleeding.
In his neck, yeah.
Yeah, and then
he pulls a worm out of his neck.
Yeah, and so like just like enjoying the moment of this scene. Like I didn't know what was going on. I didn't assume that this, because like if you're watching this happen, you're not watching it from any particular person's perspective. So you're like, how does everyone see this thing? Because everyone's reacting. The audience is reacting. Lily not reacting, which I'm just going to assume later, like that she wasn't hypnotized. The demon was not hypnotized by all this. So she's like, he's acting funny. And I was like, that's a really awful thing to say when like worms are coming out of his stomach and neck.
Yeah.
But she was probably just watching him like writhe around on the ground and thought it was funny. So,
yeah.
So clearly she's laughing. Everyone else is just like blown away. Like, what is it? Like his stomach opens up.
Yeah.
There's worms
and just
inside.
tons
The
of
whole
worms
sequence
just
was
come
bananas.
out.
Yeah, just giant like worms come out. Like there's a big fat one. Yeah, it's really gross. And so Lily's laughing. Everyone else is saying. And then there was a moment like where Carmichael would say like, "Come back to like doing his version of that."
Yeah, he does the snap.
He has a phrase that he says like dreamer.
It's what's repeated at the end.
Yeah.
Let me see if I put it down here. Dreamer here awake and does a snap, but it doesn't do anything. And Carmichael said like that wasn't supposed to happen.
Why is Gus acting so silly?
This wasn't meant to happen. Dreamer, here, awake.
Yeah.
So I thought maybe something went wrong with his
Me
act.
too.
But then we just.
I think it was harder to get Gus out of the trance maybe than he thought, or maybe it went a little
or
further.
maybe it was part of
He
the
was
act.
showboating.
It
for
could
sure.
have been that
Just being a jerk.
Gus also could be more susceptible to this suggestion than most, and maybe went a little bit more haywire than he would have.
Yeah, but definitely feeling bad for Gus in this moment. But then he does. Carmichael brings everyone in the studio, Gus, everyone back, and it was just suffered a mass something, and we don't know until Carmichael has them pull up the playback of the video to see that actually nothing happened.
None of that happened.
Carmichael would say like,
Yeah.
"Hey, you're hot," and he'd be like, "Oh, it's so hot," and he'd be like, "Hey, you're itchy. Hey, there's worms."
Yeah.
What is that? Worms.
Jesus Christ!
That's right, worms. Dozens of them, hundreds of them. Now just stay calm, Gus.
No, they're inside of me. I can feel them.
Show me.
But none of it actually happened. There
Right.
was no worm coming out of his neck. There was no worms coming out of his stomach.
Yeah. And then at this point, Lily suggests running back the tape for her and seeing what they see.
If Mr. Haig thinks we're playing a trick on everyone, then maybe we should look back at that part of the show too, Jack.
Jack was about ready to have Miss Cleo James. I was like, finally.
Okay, folks, I'm sorry. Our producers are telling me that the lovely Miss Cleo James is standing by to take us out.
Cleo James, play us out.
But
This is
then
gonna
Lily
go wrong.
suggests doing this. And so, and then also I was also wondering, like, where has Miss Cleo been the whole time? Like, shouldn't she be just hanging out backstage? Like, should we see her in the band? I don't know. I think we're in another commercial break before we're going to, or do they immediately roll back? I can't remember how.
I think no, because he promises they will. I think afterward he's like, but we can't leave it at this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he said that Cleo
apologies,
James is going to play it another time on our next show. So
Okay,
we're
so there's another commercial break because at this point, June's like, we're getting out of here. We're leaving. And Lily wants to stay. Jack convinces her to stay for this last bit. And then they go back and look at the footage.
And everything is just as it was.
And then but they slow down to frame by frame, and Jack gets them to have this.
Go back.
Yeah.
So how did you feel about this frame by frame? It took a long time for them to do this. A little more.
That's because
Go
back then
Go
the technology wasn't there like what it is now for digital, so that you can just pinpoint an exact second.
Right, but I mean, as the story, do you think like it's building tension? What did you expect to see? Like, what are you feeling as he's trying to go frame by frame here?
I didn't know.
What I will say is, when the original part of this happened in the movie, I saw something flash on screen that looked like a face.
Mm-hmm.
It was actually more positioned behind Jack's head, and I actually paused it, and it was on Jack's head. There was a face for just one brief frame.
I didn't see it.
And it happens like a handful of times throughout the movie where there's just a flash of something. And,
I thought
apparently,
there was
like
something, but I didn't.
Yeah.
Know it. Yeah.
So, but anyway, so they're pinpointing on this frame, and then there's the ghost of Minnie.
Yeah, and kind
Right.
of behind Jack is what it kind of looked like.
Right.
Right.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but
I think she had her like hand on his shoulder.
Yeah, her.
yeah, which was weird from when I paused it when I was watching the movie and I saw something flash. Her face was in a different position than where it was.
Ooh, interesting.
But it was the same face. It was her, her deathbed,
Yeah,
her
she looked like
visage.
she was ill. Yeah.
Yeah, and I read also that there's actually like 10 instances of her being placed for one frame only throughout the movie. Like,
and
where
I
it
would
flashes
see
really
something
quickly.
would flash. I would
Uh-huh.
see that throughout the movie a few times, but I didn't know what it was, and I
Yeah.
never thought to pause it.
Yeah, and you have the camera folks looking at it too. It's like, what is that? Just cut to another camera when.
Oh, do they
the
make
rolls
they make reference?
Yeah,
to
they make
it?
a reference to
Okay.
weird going on with the cameras, and even in the beginning, you see them have to like cut a camera, maybe not when they should,
Mhm.
or like the footage kind of rolls and then they cut to a different camera. So there's a little bit of electronic troublemaking going on from the beginning.
Yeah, I didn't pick up on that, but yeah. So they see that the ghost of Minnie has been on stage and with them the entire time. Then Lily starts screaming, and this is where the action really ramps up. Lily, she starts screaming. Lightning starts shooting out of her hands, and there's a lot of those kind of light effects. And what did you guys think of the head splitting in half?
The head splitting in half. I don't know. I mean, it was, it was a little rudimentary looking,
like
but
a glowing eye on each side,
Yeah.
like it was Terminator 2 getting split, like the liquid metal. I don't know.
Again, going to the sort of 70s,
Yeah.
perhaps like effects that they could have done. I felt like it was in line with that, but
I
maybe
agree.
not quite as obvious because there's a little bit of animation in there. Certainly, there's some CG going on, but I didn't see it coming. The head splitting.
No, me neither. I was pretty surprised.
Yeah, so things are going off. Everyone in the studios is just trying to get the heck out of there. Gus comes up and he says, "The power of Christ compels you," which is a direct reference to Exorcist.
Yeah.
The power of Christ compels you. The power of Christ.
R.I.P.
Come on,
Poor
Gus. Your wife said you needed to come home. Go
Yeah.
home, Gus.
Oh.
I'm still mad about this. Like,
I know, me too.
He should have made it off stage, but instead he tries to help, and poor Gus has his worst fear realized, and his head twists backwards, and he's done.
very
And
sudden.
yeah,
It all happens in like a quick second.
yeah, and so then Lily's next, or not Lily, June is next. She has the charm and tries to do the "come back to me, Lily" thing again, but this time Abraxas, Mr. Wriggles, is not having
Yeah,
it.
he's like, I'm actually a demon.
Yeah, it's I think just the amount of powers that he shows here maybe indicates that he's more than a minor deity,
I agree.
or demon. But yeah, June is suspended by the neck with the chain of the talisman. Jack gets blasted away and hits the wall, and June's neck gets slit, I think is what happens.
Yeah, like eventually cuts through. And this is all very dramatic, and I think intentionally so for the demon. It's like, oh, I've got the cameras on me. I've got everybody on
I'm gonna
stage.
create chaos.
I could just
Yeah.
like Gus and like very quickly, no blood, have it all over. But like now that you're looking at me,
You're gonna put on a show.
Let's
Yeah.
push up those ratings.
Yeah,
Huh,
I didn't-
Jack.
So you're still feeling like the demon was performing at this
Oh
point?
yes.
Okay.
No, I'm convinced.
I thought it was just mad, but but yeah, no, that totally holds up. And then Carmichael gets his little moment where he's like, I will do your unholy bidding. He like totally
I
okays.
know. My gosh.
He's like,
He pulls out the
I think
check.
he gets on his
yeah, he tries to
knees,
give
right?
the check to this, split
Yeah.
head flaming demon.
And he's on his knees, I
Yeah.
believe, right? Trying to hand the
yeah,
check.
he folded so quickly, and he loved to see it.
Yep.
and then he does the Raiders of the Lost Ark face starts melting, and he
You're
totally
feeling,
incinerates.
you're feeling hot, Carmichael. No,
Oh, yeah,
nobody
yeah.
says that, but it
gets turned around on him, and he melts and burns up. And at this point, I think the producer tries to say, "Jack, let's get out of here." And Jack turns, looks, at the demon Lily, and then he leaves. And then we get a series of very like hallucinatory kind of like cutscenes to wrap this up. And I know there's still like 15 minutes left. I was like, wow, I was hoping we get kind of more clear indication of what happened in the backstory, but we get these kind of these scene after scene of. It starts with Jack coming in. He's opening the show again, and he doesn't know where he is. They cut the station difficulties. Jack's on stage doing the
Caveman bit.
bit again. and he storms off. And then we got the lady with the spider, like you have that nature person on talk shows who brings in
a deadly animal.
Yeah. We forgot to mention, like earlier in the movie, she had lost a spider in the audience. I thought it was funny. Yeah, but this time around, she has a bucket full of worms, and including a big giant worm. It was pretty gross. And so after that, we see Jack and Madeline doing their interview thing again on stage. Things are really like starting to go, like you get in this station difficulties, message keeps popping up. We have Gus and an old lady spinning a hypno wheel. What do we call those things?
What do they call those? The
Rob,
black spiral where you hypnotize somebody?
I don't know what they're called.
I don't
That's a
either.
good question.
I know you've done crafts and stuff for STEM.
Yeah, I
story
mean, like
time.
you always call them spinners.
Spinners,
or
yeah. But yeah, she's spinning it. Jack's starting to really freak out. He's telling people to turn off their TV, stop watching.
Switch off your television. Turn off your TV set. Stop watching this. Turn it off!
Then we get a series of like quick cuts of like, Diabo with blood on his face and the goblet and music and trees and the skeleton guy again, where keeps popping up. Still don't know the meaning behind the guy in the skeleton costume. And then we have Jack in, was it supposed to be the woods? Because there's trees, but are they staged trees? I feel like he's still on stage.
It felt like it was half and
stage.
half.
Oh, yeah.
The way they did it, it was like interposed. Like it seemed like they were partially stage and then partially the forest.
Yeah. So either way, it's supposed to represent he's in the grove.
Mm-hmm.
The skeleton guy's there for some reason, and Diabo's there, and they're all like they're ready for him to do this ritual. They have the sacrificial knife, goblet. They're all wearing masks. You mentioned the owl mask.
Mm-hmm.
They all start hooting like owls.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now drink up, Jack.
So there must be something with owls that I'm just not getting. Diablo says, "You're doing great show. 40 shares up."
I still think that character's hilarious.
Yeah. Jack has to drink from the goblet. He kneels before Diabo or the owl or something. And then we cut to this deathbed scene with his wife. And she says, like, you made an arrangement and I am the cost, the sacrifice.
They told you you could have it all, didn't they? Be number one. Well, you finally made it, darling. But you had to pay a price. Except Minnie. Stage left.
Kind of like how she refers to herself. She was a stage actress, so that's probably her reference there. But yeah, so we can kind of piece together that at this point, Jack had made an arrangement at the Grove with a demon to give the demon really didn't deliver on much.
That's one
Not
of the
till
things I think.
This show.
So
I guess this show.
Yeah.
but
So what
prior
do you
to that-
guys think about Jack bringing his wife, who is on like literally almost on her deathbed, on his show to interview for ratings?
I think that's what it's kind of calling back to.
Yeah.
Like at first I thought it was like, maybe it's metaphorical that you sacrificing your wife or like using her illness for your gain kind of thing. Because that's what it seemed like when she was on the show. As real as that moment felt, I thought that he did a good job feeling that.
Right.
I was questioning whether he knew that she was the sacrifice. Like he does say here in this moment where he's like, I didn't know that it was going to be you. And then maybe he didn't even know, even after her death, that it was her. Maybe he's realizing it in real time. I kind of, that's why I say it was really hard to tell
It was hard
what
to
exactly
tell.
happened and how. But
And part of me is like, does the guilt that he feels is like this whole studio, is it really real or is it his mind? And like the skeleton and some of the other costume characters, are they representational of something that he's dealing with? And is it all happening even? Is it really happening?
I mean, it's loaded with enough metaphors and things going on that could be, but man, do we hate a movie that's
I know.
all in
It
his
is.
mind. So.
It's unfulfillingly vague.
Yeah.
You're not going to leave this feeling good or confident really about pretty much any of it.
There's a lot of different ways you can look at it, which is thought-provoking. I mean, after you're done with it, you can think about it. Like, what did that ending mean? What was that? Why
did we include the skeleton guy? I don't know. Look how mad the internet is. This is great.
I heard there's a lot of memes with that skeleton.
Oh, that's
Oh,
fine.
really?
Yeah.
I'm going to go find those memes.
I was constantly thinking about him throughout the movie, so I could see that it captured other people's imaginations. And then just to wrap up here, though, so Jack has to take the sacrificial knife. She says, "You have to kill me." She's in pain, and she tells him to do it, and he does use the knife to kill her. So he actually has to do what supposedly the arrangement he made. He has to sacrifice her. And then we cut back to the studio and he's killing Lily with the knife. Yeah. And then I think, at this point, he doesn't know what's real. He's saying the dreamer's here awake. He's trying to wake up. He's hoping this is all just a hallucination or dream or something.
So he's standing there with the knife, and there's all these dead bodies around him, including Lily, who he just stabbed, and there's sirens coming in the distance.
Yeah, we hear sirens.
Dreamer here, awake. Dreamer here, awake. Dreamer here.
And transmission appears on screen,
Mm-hmm.
and then the words change to "So it is done," and that is the end of the movie. So
do you think that? I mean, is there a chance he had a psychotic break and he's the one who killed everyone?
I think that's how it's going to play out in court.
I did find myself wondering what happens next after this.
But there's footage.
Yeah, I mean, he could get away with
If
it all.
there
It
is
was
footage.
clearly a thing by the intro. It's like, and here's footage of that day known as Late Night with the Devil. Because culturally, it did make a big impact, which I think is what the demon promised him. He gets his splash time.
It's like he didn't say how.
Bumped
Maybe
Carson off the
it was
ratings.
one of those things where, you become famous, but I mean, I didn't promise how you would become famous.
Yeah, monkey's paw. I agree with that take. I think that's how it went down.
Yeah, so he had a bad deal with the devil.
He
What
should
do
have
you
been more
think?
specific.
Yeah, and yeah. So Rob, you think this was the deal? Like this night, the ratings would go through the roof. He'd finally take it
I
on
think
Sweet
so.
Week. Okay,
And I think like maybe the demon greased the path for him to get there as well. And then the wife was the sacrifice. A fully autonomous, her own person, we might add. That doesn't feel good for anybody. But into this spectacle, which the demon made it. It's got some doubtability. It has Jack holding the knife at the end. Surely, bumped his ratings, put him over Carson, got him the whole nation's attention, but at a price too steep to pay, which feels right.
I'm going to agree with Rob. I think that I mean, I've thought of so many different scenarios, but I think ultimately, he made a deal and he didn't know how it was going to play out. And this is how it played out. And the demon really got what they wanted because they got to showcase their abilities. They got a lot of attention from the public.
they got the sacrifice.
They got the sacrifice.
Yeah, I'm willing to bet that cult leader guy got a very similar deal.
Mm.
Yeah, you will bring Abraxas into this world, or you will be part of the second coming, or whatever. Like, oh yeah, no, you're also going to burn alive. But
So I think we kind of landed on what we think the ending
Do
was.
you- do you agree?
For the most part, I think Jack is the partial villain. I don't. I think I'm more with you that I don't know if he knew exactly what he was agreeing to. I
He
don't
might
know.
have got
He might
manipulated.
not have even believed what was happening in the grove, and all this stuff. But I think during the course of the night, he came to the realization and to the understanding of what the stakes were.
I want your outside of the ballpark theory. Like, was the skeleton the wife the whole time, and she was orchestrating it? And all those flashbacks to all the women that appeared on his show. Jack, what were you up to? Wife is mad. Dead wife mad. Kill everybody.
Yeah.
Do they have flashbacks
That was
to
actually
women?
at the end, the flashbacks when he's with guests, it's all the female guests. So part of me wonders
I
if
didn't
that had
notice
some kind
that.
of infidelity connection, but it didn't. There was nothing really to indicate that.
Yeah.
This is where I thought it was initially going, since June showed up, and since I thought it was like a philandering revenge kind of story.
Oh, you thought the ghost of the wife would be seeking revenge?
That's what I thought. I
'cause,
thought.
yeah,
But she seemed to be supporting
because,
him.
She did seem to be supporting him.
Yeah.
And then, I thought it was going to go a totally different direction. Whereas, you used her for your fame, you were not faithful
Mhm.
while and after, and her memories.
When I was thinking about the whole
Misrepresented.
theory of this just being all in his mind, I thought, well, the skeleton could be he has a secret, and the secret is he made a deal with, in the grove with a demon for success, and the skeleton could represent skeleton in the closet, like a secret that he's, and it's just sitting there staring at him.
Boom, publish. Nice.
Yeah, you like it?
Well, I guess early on there was all those scenes where Lily would be watching June and Jack talking and had an angry or almost jealous look. So it was kind of alluding that might be the direction it would take, is that it would be the possession was actually the wife or something like that.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. Nope, definitely went off the rails into a different direction. But I guess we can kind of talk about whether we like the movie. Should we come up with a rating system and do that?
Why not? Like out of 5 or out of 10?
Flesh-eating worms?
Oh, yeah, let's do the worms.
Oh.
Out of 5 worms.
How many wriggly worms?
Wriggling Gus's biggest fear worms are we going to give
out
this
of 5
movie?
as the most?
Yeah, if you want to do your summation and your rating, Rob.
I'm going to ruin your system and give it a 4 out of 5, but an 8 out of 10 because I loved the presentation. I loved how it came together. At the end, I would drop it just a little bit for the sort of unfulfilling ending that didn't quite bring it together and actually got away from the found footage and the TV night camera work that I thought was working really well. But I thought they did a great job of being tense throughout, keeping you a little guessing. Characters excellently delivered.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm going to do 3.5 wriggling worms, but like if you cut a worm, doesn't it grow back? I don't know. Let's not go there. Anyway, I agree with Rob. I love the tension throughout. I felt like it, the foreboding was building. I like the characters. I think the actress that played Lily was great. David Dalsmakian, I believe is how you say his name.
Oh yeah, we didn't talk about actors, but
I didn't talk about him,
to.
but he did a great job. I will kind of stick with the first assessment, which is whenever I watch found footage film, I think about the rules of the film. Like they shouldn't be showing anything that isn't found footage. And sometimes it felt like it didn't follow the rules with that. And then also every time I watch something like that, I just feel a distance, a little bit removed, which, for a horror movie, that's maybe I can enjoy it more because I'm not terrified. So I had fun. I thought it was a fun time, a good time. I enjoyed watching it. I think like it went in unexpected places, which I thought was good. I liked the practical effects that they used. I liked the setscape and the way everything looked like 70s. I enjoyed that. So I think I'll give it 3.5.
Okay. I will put in this addendum. Whenever I rate a book and give it 5 stars, Jen has to pull me aside and she's like, Rob, really? Another 5 stars?
He'll give it 5 stars, but then he'll criticize it in the review. It's like, no, 5 stars means it's perfect. you can't give it 5 stars. And
I tend to lean high, but I also like to alleviate, horror tends to get rated pretty lowly, so I'm always going to bump up just a little bit.
Give it an extra half. I can't remember what we gave Evil Dead 2.
Did we rate it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Whenever we've done a movie, I think we've had to rate them.
Stars, perfect.
Perfect.
Yeah, there's a few things wrong with it.
I think we were like more in the 4.5, 5. I think I'm more in line with you. I'm probably 3. I was thinking 3, but maybe 3.5. I'm closer there. I think for 2/3 of the film, or even like 3/4, 4/5, I was really enjoying it. I didn't like the way it ended. I didn't like. I actually didn't mind. I kind of enjoyed the camping horror of all the people dying on stage. But then like where it went after that, I was trying to follow it. I wasn't really enjoying kind of
like the flashbacks or like the hallucinatory scenes.
Yeah,
like how
I think that's where
the story was
lost.
told there. But the first 2/3, the way they ramped up the tension, so well done. I thought like the hybridization of the found footage plus like the behind the scenes kind of documentary style stuff worked really well, and I liked all the acting jobs. I love the Carmichael and all them. But
Gus was such a perfect Gus.
Yeah, he was perfect.
Poor Gus.
Yeah. Well, I read that David Dalsmakian actually got this role because he wrote an article for the horror magazine Fangoria. He wrote an article about regional horror hosts. Do you guys know about regional horror hosts? Well, apparently, I was thinking
like on cable access kind of thing.
Yeah, kind of like that, or also I guess now on the internet. But like I'm thinking of like a big one, one network would be.
Yes,
Svengoolie.
Yes, Svengoolie.
It took me like all that time while you were talking to think of that name.
Yes, exactly. And he apparently wrote an article about that caught the attention of these 2 Australian brothers that are the directors of this film, and that's how they offered him the role. So I just thought that was kind of an interesting tidbit.
Yeah, and as we mentioned last episode, I think he has the unusual look that's perfect for kind of horror. He definitely had the look of something going on, even though he looked very genuine in most of those early scenes.
Yeah.
So I think we kind of landed on maybe a 3.5 average or so, but I thought it was fun.
It was
definitely
more
worth
fun,
watching.
yeah.
If you haven't watched it, you shouldn't be listening to us completely spoil the movie. But yeah,
Borrow
go
it
back
from
and
your
watch
library.
it.
Come back.
Yeah.
Check us out.
Yeah, and without further ado, I think that wraps it up. So join us next Halloween when we do another Kanopy horror movie.
Don't join the Grove. Don't join the Grove.
Or do.
Stay spooky.